Is the 2025-26 Spurs team the most dominant team that we've seen in the Spurs franchise history? And let's preview this weekend Spurs and Nuggets game. Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Spurs in Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Where else you can go to? You can go to YouTube podcast. What about Pocket Cast? Yeah, go subscribe to Spurs in Focus wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And we thank you for making Spurs in Focus the first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. This should be your only stop when it comes to talking all things silver and black. I am your host, Jeff Garcia, longtime Spurs beat writer in San Antonio. Make sure to follow me on X at Jeff G Spurs. I mean, go check out the Substack, Spurs in Focus on Substack. You guys are subscribing like crazy over there. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for also subscribing here at Spurs in Focus. What are we talking about today on this lovely Friday? We're going to be asking the big question right now. Is this current Spurs roster the most dominant team that the Spurs franchise has seen since maybe the Tim Duncan era? Yeah, we're going to be looking at some of the numbers, debating the eras, all that good stuff right here in Spurs in Focus. Then preview tomorrow's game, Spurs Nuggets. Yeah, there's a team in the field right now that kind of puts a little fear in my eyes, in my heart. It's that Nuggets team. Maybe our guest can calm me down, but I got a feeling he probably won't. Look who's back, everybody. It is the Sports Answer's very own Mr. Rudy Campos. He is on X at Box Score Studio. And I think you're the only guy that could really take down the Spurs. Like you could play every position and just cancel that team out because that's how good you are.
Yeah, for a little while there, I was a pretty good basketball player. I would say in a 7-game series, it would probably be 7 games, triple overtime. I'd win by one. Win by one.
You get Wimmy? You get him? You poster him?
I on the offensive side, yes, I bully him in, I back him down in the paint, I dunk on him left and right. On my defensive side, I just keep him out of the paint. You just body him up, man.
Sign him now, Spurs. Sign him now. You heard. Look, the playoff rosters are not set yet. You can still add Mr. Campos to that roster.
Oh,
yeah. And look, nobody should be surprised. Rudy's back. We made it very clear. Rudy will be one of our most frequent guests here at Spurs in Focus. Aside from Rudy's domination of the Spurs on the hardwood, this Spurs team is just rolling. What are the numbers? Something like 26-2 or 3-2 in the last, 28 games as of this recording. Keep in mind, this is recorded before yesterday night's Spurs-Clippers game. Way too late to be recording after that game. Let me tell you that much. But the point is, even if they lose last night, it's still at a phenomenal record. If they lose, it's 26-3. If they win, it's 27-2. And we are forgetting about a perfect month of February too. They did not lose a game in the month of February. So it kind of begs the question, is this one of the most dominant Spurs team in franchise history? Yeah, we're going to be looking back at the Spurs title teams for a comparison. Yeah, you're talking about the Tim Duncan era, Manu, Tony, Kawhi in there too. I mean, the list goes on and on. This team is steamrolling the competition. Really, before we dive into some numbers, you told me on the phone, you're like, this is kind of a good topic. You brought it up on the Sports Answer. Yeah. You just talk about it here. This team is dominant, but are they the dominant team in Spurs history?
So, I asked the question this past weekend on the Sports Answer, and, I really didn't hit the topic too much, but I did make a little mention saying that this team feels like it could be an all-time Spurs team. And if you're looking at the numbers, I mean, there's only in those 5 title runs, only 2 of those Spurs teams had 60 wins. The other ones had 59, I think 58, if I'm not mistaken. So they're on that 60. Golly, can we say this could probably be a 63 win team?
No way, it can be.
It's all said and done easily. But again, mentioned that it could be one of the all-time great Spurs teams. And you just got to look at everything, Jeff. I mean, they're pretty much in the top of every category when it comes to team statistics. You've had great teams in the past. Obviously, you had the 99 team with Robinson and Duncan. We're going to get into break. We're going to break down those here in a little bit. But, I mean, this team just feels more dominant than those teams. And I'm not saying it because I'm on a high of what they're doing right now, but I don't remember a Spurs team having this kind of
Me neither.
this kind of run, especially we all know about the rodeo road trip, but to see a team just completely obliterate teams after February 1st until the close of the season,
Hmm.
I really don't remember a Spurs team ever doing that. So
Yeah.
pretty, pretty good team right here we're watching right now live.
I mean, they had a consecutive games of double figure wins.
Mhm.
Double figure wins. Factor that in. Factor in they have they could make some NBA history of having the most players on a roster scored in double figures. That can happen.
Yeah.
Wemby's just going to shatter records. So yeah, same old Wemby. Just doing his thing
Mhm.
and whatnot. And what makes this surprising is that nobody thought heading into the season this team will be this dominant.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas had them pegged a low 40 win season. That's what it
Mhm.
was. Heck, I thought they were a mid 40 win season
Yeah.
team. You had them around there too, but for them to be knocking on the door of 60 as of this recording is just incredible, incredible. Look, you got Wemby, you got Castle, you got Harper, you got Keldon, you got Vassell, you got Cornette, you got backup bigs like Plumlee and Olynyk. I mean, this team is crazy deep,
Mhm.
crazy deep.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's to keep in mind, Harper's coming off the bench, a role that he struggled with, and he admitted in an interview with Handscape. So this is how potent this team can be. Veteran presence. How about De'Aaron Fox? How about Harrison Barnes? This team, I think, if you were to roll the ball on the court and throw out one of the championship teams, they might give those championships some run. Do you think this team could give the 99, 2003, 14, 12, all those championships some run?
Ooh, I don't want to get in too much trouble here. But looking at a lot of the rosters compared to a lot of the rosters,
Yeah.
I mean, can we truly say that Tim Duncan and Wemby just kind of cancel each other out when it comes to the dominance they're gonna have? I mean, Timmy put
I
out
think TD
outrageous.
outsmarts them like crazy.
I would probably say you'd have to give Tim Duncan the edge, just because
Mhm.
his basketball IQ is, I
Yeah.
mean, Magic Johnson-esque, especially in
Mhm.
the post. I mean, he just has an unbelievable basketball IQ. But when you look at the rosters overall, the 99 team filled with nothing but veterans. I mean, it was just a veteran-led squad. I mean, who was the youngest guy on that team? I
Sean
mean,
Elliott, maybe. I don't know.
maybe, yeah,
Malik
maybe
Rose.
Sean Elliott, Malik Rose would be another one. But I mean, you're talking guys that are all veterans, all that entire team. So
Yeah.
I think Timmy was still what, maybe 2 years
He
into
might
the
have been the
league.
youngest one. Yeah.
Yeah, 2, 3 years into the league. So I think this team probably gives the 99 team a little bit of a run. And I think they actually might beat the 99 team just because of the style of play. And that's what we got to figure.
Yeah.
Is it this style of
Exactly.
play or is
Yeah.
it play from back then? But overall, head to head, I mean, I would say the only team I think they would maybe have difficulty
I know
with,
where you're going with this.
well, I would say the 13-14 team. That's
Oh,
what I would
interesting.
go. So
Interesting.
that Spurs team had something that this one doesn't have. They had focus and they were on a mission. They had
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah.
embarrassed.
That team was, yeah.
Yeah, they got embarrassed by Miami that last final series,
Mhm.
and we all know what happened. Ray Allen, Tim Duncan out of the game, all the stuff, but they came in focused. I think that team would probably give them a pretty darn good series run, this current team. The other
Mhm.
team I might think is maybe that 2003 team where they played the Nets. I
Mhm.
think that team was pretty good, pretty stacked right there. So
Interesting.
those two teams are the two teams that I would like, and I think maybe would give this team a legit shot. But the other three championship teams, I think your current Spurs roster might give them a lot of fits.
Interesting you picked that revenge team against Miami because I actually picked the 99 team as
Mhm.
the one team that I think that could give this current team fits. You're right. It was stacked with veterans. Jerome Kersey was on that squad. Mario Ellie was on that squad.
Terry
Hey,
Porter, I mean
Terry Porter,
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Thank you, Danny Ferry.
Yeah,
Who else? David was starting the decline. He wasn't there yet, but
yeah.
was already there. And big factor was that he turned over the reins to Tim Duncan. But we look at the numbers here. Okay, so this is 99 team. We go back in time here now. The reason why I picked this one because I think they were a better defensive team than this team
Absolutely.
collectively. collectively. I know Wemby's Wemby, yeah, but defensively, collectively, that 99 team they defied you to score. During that year, I have it right here. The 99 championship team, first in the NBA in defensive rating at 95.0. Unfreaking real. This year's team, third currently in the NBA defensive rating at 111.7. That's a big, 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 big difference there. Defense wins titles, defense wins games, defense wins series. That's where I give a big edge to the 99 team. And yes, I know they probably they were undersized. Yeah. But I mean, Timmy and David, I think they could handle Wemby. Those two guys by themselves would give Wemby probably all the work. I mean, Wemby would have to really work for his numbers offensively. But here we go, and you throw this in there. Okay, what about the offensive rating? All right, so this year's squad is fourth in the NBA at 120. So they're putting up points. Now, keep in mind, different eras, different styles, different rules. It's more of a free flow game this era in Spurs basketball. Back then, it was a lot more. You could hand check. You can really body. If you didn't break a bone, it was not a foul. Basically, that's pretty much what it was. But offensive rating for the 99 team, they were 11th in the NBA at 104.0. So this 99 versus this current team would be interesting because it's a battle of two styles. Heavy defensive minded team 99 versus a balanced Spurs current team, but defense does win games, and that's where I'm interested to see how that will play out. So don't forget too, Timmy was still young. He was not already at the back. So I think a spry young Tim Duncan going up against the challenge of facing Wemby. Although, first of all, let's be honest, David would have gotten the assignment, right? David likely would have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. David would have got that assignment.
But here's the other thing, too. Another reason why I give another edge to that 99 team is 3-point shooting. Mario Ellie, Danny Ferry, Steve Kerr. We've seen this year, this squad struggles against teams that are cooking from the 3 line. That's one of their weaknesses.
And you're bringing up valid. I mean, you know what? The more you talk about it, the more I look and see, you know what? You're bringing up valid points. I mean, this makes me reconsider the 99 squad, and I look at it more where you said the defensive rating. This Spurs team that's currently, I mean, they're still one of the better defenders in the league team wise. So that's where I think it kind of 99 gets the edge on the defensive side of things. But then you look at the scoring wise. I mean, the shooting part, the Spurs were a dominant shooting team in 99. Spurs right now are not dominant shooting in 99, obviously from 3-point range, but you only had 3 guys that were in double figures for San Antonio: Tim, Sean, and David. I think David was at 15, Sean was at 11. So everybody else was under 9 points or less on that 99 squad. So the way I look at it is this team would probably outrun that 99 squad. So if it's a half-court game, 99 probably has the edge. But knowing that Wemby and this team likes to play up-tempo basketball, to get the Spurs in defensive mode on that 99 squad would probably be a little bit more difficult. We hadn't seen the beautiful game at that time. So I think this current team doesn't play similar to that 2013, 2014 team, but we've seen games where they've moved the ball so much that you see that defensive team, the defensive on the other team is just like, we kind of just give up on it. So there's so many factors in this, and it's a cool topic. It
really is a cool topic. Yes, and we understand. Rudy and I get it. Different eras.
Oh yeah,
different rules. We get that. That's why we're just looking at numbers right now. Just looking at strictly numbers. All right. So you mentioned the 14 team, the revenge team.
Yeah.
It's good. They're the core numbers, which is offensive, defensive rating. All right. So again, just to remind everybody, again, this year's squad, third currently in defensive rating at 111.7, fourth offensive rating in the NBA at 120. All right, keep that in mind. So we look at the numbers for 14. Offensive rating 111.1, so just a little behind this current team. Defensive rating, here we go again, 102.9 allowed per 100 possessions that year. So just a little bit more defense on that end for them. But it was the beautiful game. It was. I I think Popovich-led squad versus Mitch Johnson's led squad right now, Pop would have really figured out how to counteract all the talent that this squad has, because that's exactly what he did to combat Miami.
Exactly.
If you see the beautiful game, what we saw in 14, well, imagine that maybe just pumped up 2 more times, because that's what you're going to have to do. I can see Pop scheming to get Wemby in foul trouble early. I can see that happening. Timmy, go to work. Timmy, just get at it. It would have been interesting to see Castle versus Parker, because Parker was still in his peak time around that time.
Oh yeah.
Manu off the bench facing Keldon. I think Manu wrecks him. I think Manu Keldon's never seen something like Manu. I think Manu gets the best out of him. This would be an interesting matchup. I would actually go for the 14 squad in Game 7. What do you think?
Yeah, see that was the reason why I picked them. I mean, a lot of stuff you mentioned.
Yeah.
The thing with I'll tell you with the Popovich thing, you also got to remember. Look at the assistant coaches he had. Ime Udoka was an assistant coach with that team. Look what he's doing right now with the teams that he's had. They still had Chip England on that bench as well. Sean Marks was an assistant coach on that team. So, I mean, I think you kind of give the edge on the coaching to that team. But also, you mentioned Wemby. Tim gets to work on Wemby, but what Pop had on that team that this team doesn't really have, he had Jeff Ferris, he had Aaron Baines, he had Thiago Splitter.
Boris Diaw was huge.
Boris Diaw. I mean, these guys were very physical players, especially Baines and Ayers. They could be very, very physical. Boris Diaw would have been one of the X factors on
huge X factor 14. Yes,
he could easily take Wemby away from the paint. He can knock down that 3-point shot. But let's not forget the other 2 factors on that 2013-14 squad. Jeff, Danny Green, 3-point shooter plus a defender, so he could guard maybe Stephon Castle. He could guard De'Aaron Fox. So you've got him guarding. Then you've got Patty Mills off the bench, who playoff Patty, we all remember. I mean, there's really no Dylan Harper could not keep up with Patty Mills at that time, I don't think, because Patty was just on fire. But then, of course, you got Manu Ginobili, who you mentioned. I mean, this Spurs team on paper was probably the most balanced Spurs team that I think we've ever seen. And I mean, it shows. They had 62 wins that season. So, I mean, they just dominated the conference. They dominated the division. They got back to the finals. They beat the Heat. And I mean, they beat them convincingly. So that's why I'm saying that 13-14 squad, probably for me, when you look at everything, is the best championship team and would probably beat this current squad. Would I say hands down? No, but I think it would go like 6 games.
Really? Okay. 6 games is still deep. That's a deep series. Yeah. That's a good point there. But let's not forget too, there was a young man by the name of Kawhi Leonard on that 20.
I didn't even mention him. So that, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP. I mean, come on.
I think he probably shuts down Castle. He probably shuts down.
Who guards you?
Exactly. Who in this current roster guard? Castle probably, right? Castle, Vassell, probably by committee.
I mean, Castle will guard him, but can Castle keep up with him? I mean, you got to remember, Kawhi Leonard at that time was the most dominant 2-way player in the league. And if you stopped him and you double teamed him, let's throw out, you had Marco Bellinelli there, wide open on the wing. I mean,
this is it. That team was balanced. Yeah, that team had balanced.
It's the most well-balanced team I think the Spurs have.
I think this roster is close to that, though.
Very
it's close to being that balanced. I mean, it is like a hair's breadth away to being on par with 14. What they lack, though, is what we hear this season is that experience. That 14 team had the experience of getting their souls crushed in the NBA Finals. That team had a guy named Tim Duncan. And look, Wemby's good. He's franchise, but he's not that Tim Duncan levels yet. But he's definitely on that path. They were ready to rock and roll. All right. And the other guys, Thiago Splitter. I mean, that's a big difference there. That's a big problem for Wemby and Cornette and who else. Now, I'm not here just to bash this roster, this current roster or not. But we're talking about the 2014 squad. Matt Bonner was on that squad.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be lining it up from the 3 line there. If you look at it like just key players who know their roles, Corey Joseph was a very solid guard coming off that bench. So, but I do think this current Spurs team does give the 14 team some run. It really, really do. What do you think? Here's one. What about the 07 team that took on Cleveland? You think that would you give this current Spurs team an edge over that championship team?
Yeah. That 07 team, I think, man, is I don't want to get much trouble, but I think that 07 team was a good team, but it probably wasn't the best of all the championship teams. I mean, Manu, Tony, Tim, obviously.
Usually, yeah.
Mike Finley was
on it. Mike
Finley was there. You know, Bruce Bowen was towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
Same thing with Brent Barry, Robert Horry as well. I mean, they had a lot of guys that were valuable, but were kind of towards the twilight and towards the end of their career. But I think the 06-07 team was probably the worst of all the championship teams, roster wise. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Roster wise,
yeah.
I mean, you had guys like I think Jock Vaughn was on that team, but I think he got injured, right? Or he was injured, or
that sounds familiar, yeah.
But I mean, then you had guys like Jackie Butler, I think, was on that team. Melvin Eli.
Yeah, Melvin Eli was on, yeah.
James White. So I mean, I think Alberto was a starting center.
Yeah, Alberto was on it. Yep.
They had guys, but when you look at the roster, it's like there wasn't the true dominant Spurs team that you were used
Well, this is very interesting. You know, I looked it up right now. That 07 team was actually first in the NBA that year in opponents' points per game. So basically their defensive rating, a whopping 90.1 that year. That's incredible.
I don't remember if there was a lot of scoring that year in the league.
Yeah. I think that was
It seems like that year was a boring year for basketball, if I'm not mistaken. I think it just was a boring overall year.
What are your thoughts about that team that took on the Pistons, though? That team was that was a handful.
Good team. I liked it. It was a 59 win team, I believe, for that team. But again, they had guys, Ori was there.
Udrih.
Udrih was there. I mean, I think that team, that was a balanced team. I'll say that was a balanced team. It was a really good team. I just don't know if they would have been competitive to some of the other rosters that we've seen from Spurs championship teams overall. I would say it's not the worst team. I think we just talked about the worst championship team by San Antonio, but I think they could do some damage, but it wouldn't be the first team I actually look at.
I mean, what was it, the 2005? Is that what it was in?
2004, 2005.
2004, yeah, that's 2005 roster. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Who else was on that roster? Let's see here now. I mean, that year they finished 59-23. So this current roster could break that record or at least tie it now. Interesting. They were slow. That team was slow. Check this out. They were 23rd in the NBA in pace, 88.9. So they definitely didn't go up and down the court.
That's what I said. It was like a boring. Yeah. It was a boring basketball season. Not the team. I remember that season. It just felt like a boring basketball season. I mean, you had games in 70 something to 80 something.
I mean, that team did have the big dog though, Glenn Robinson though.
Oh yeah, straight out of Purdue, man, big dog. Who do you give the moniker to? Him or Antoine Carr?
I give it to Antoine.
You almost have to, right?
Yeah, give it to Antoine.
I mean, he had it first. Had it first.
I mean, you mentioned Brent Barry was on that squad what was that, 13? I'm sorry, 04, 05, excuse me. Yes, that's with the Pistons.
Yeah. Wasn't Tony Massenberg still on that team?
Yes, he was.
I mean, he was.
Tony Massenberg won that.
Wasn't he drafted like in the?
Rasho was still on that roster. Rasho was the heir to David. By the way, I think a lot of Spurs fans don't give Rasho enough credit. I know he had big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but
he put up some decent numbers with the Spurs. They weren't David Robinson levels.
Yeah,
but he was giving you 24 minutes here. What else? He was giving you 6.4 points per game. He was giving you 6 rebounds. Yeah, 6, 7, 8 rebounds. I mean, he did the best he could do, considering But at that team, it was already Tim Duncan's team, so he was taking a backseat to that.
They had a good 1-2 punch. It was Rasho and Nazi Muhammad, right?
Yeah, Nazi was good that year. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, those two guys were kind of good 1-2 punch for them. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So we boil it down then. We think the 99 and the 14 team, they can handle this current roster. They can,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you've got the 99, I've got the 14.
Yeah, I got 99, you got 14. You know, I think they give this roster fits. Then you look at the middle championships, 05, 07. This roster probably can handle them. Probably can at least test them and push a game 7 or even upset them.
Yeah.
But circling back, is this the most dominant team in Spurs franchise? I'm going to say no. We're not there yet. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're close. If they fall short of a finals appearance,
yeah,
is it pretty much a no? If they make the finals,
that's a good point.
63 wins.
What if you give them at least 60? If they hit 60 and a Western Conference finals run, is that enough to put them up there with the most dominant Spurs teams?
2014 still has it. I think if you give them 60 wins, it would have to be minimum finals to really? Think about it. About it. Because you can, I mean, we talked so highly about that 13-14 squad. I mean, they dominated the league.
Yeah, there is no way.
So I would think you'd have to get to 62, 63 wins in the regular season. And then maybe we can talk about, okay, maybe Western Conference finals. But I think even at that, they've got to get to the finals if you want to start calling them the best team. But for me, it's going to take a little bit more than just Western Conference finals.
All right. How about this? 63 wins, as you mentioned, a hypothetical number there. A finals appearance, but they lose in the finals.
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that? Okay.
But I have to throw a but in there. They've got to go at least 6 games. They got to make it competitive.
Okay. So if they get smoked, then forget it.
Yeah, if they get smoked, I'm like, no. They have to go at least 6 games because then I compare it to the 2012, 2013 team.
Oh, yeah, I remember that team.
Where they got, they lost in the finals.
That was the Dallas. That was
No, that was
Miami. That was
Miami in the finals. Yeah, right. So yeah, if they can make if they get that kind of run and then they come back next year, they've already got a taste of it and they're even more dominant, then we can start talking like, yeah, this team is probably going to be that good.
Where do you think the Spurs squad that was dominant but lost to Derek Fisher's .4, the Lakers team and Shaq and Kobe? That team was
That was probably they win that series. I think they end up winning the finals.
Oh, yes, they do.
And they probably go down as probably one of the best Spurs teams. And I would even put that Spurs team where they lost to Dallas when Manu fouled Dirk. I would put that Spurs team up there as well. So I mean, so much has happened, man, that could change, the course of Spurs history. But yeah, I think those two teams would be in the conversation had they won.
That year with 2003, 2004, that's the Derek Fisher .4 squad. And the Spurs lost to the Lakers 2-4 in the semifinals in the West. They finished that year. What's their record? They were 57-25. Opponent points per game, again, first, holding teams to 84.3.
Yeah.
Offensively, though, they were close to near the bottom, though. They were 91.5. That was 19 out of in the league there. So they definitely put the clamps on you, but offensively, it took them a while to get some offense going. But yeah. I remember that year, Duncan was just dominant that year. Just like nobody could have touched him.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, how about this? Before we transition to review tomorrow's game, Denver and the Spurs? Titles aside, so don't factor in the championships.
Okay.
Does this team at least rank in there? So we do it like, I know 99 or 14 can flip, but we'll say 14, 99. Maybe throw in that the team that lost. What was one you just mentioned right now? To
Dallas?
No. Miami. The first loss to Miami. Yeah. That one. Maybe the Dallas squad. Then do you put the Spurs team? Are they top 5 right now?
Man, good question. I would say I'm looking at this. from what we've seen, I probably have them top 5. I think I have them top.
I have them at 5.
Yeah.
At 5.
So I've got 14. I've got 13, 14. I've got, honestly,
99.
I don't even know if I have 99 up there.
Okay, fine.
Dude,
You know,
I don't know if I have 99 at 2. I mean, they were dominant. But it's just kind of hard for me because it's the scoring factor. Like, I know the NBA wasn't a scoring league at the time.
It wasn't at all.
But, I think they could have probably had better score. I don't know, man. Something about the 99 team that I love, but I just can't rank them super high. I would probably put this current roster, just trying to, off the top of my head, probably would go 4. I can maybe make a case for 3. But definitely 99 would be either 3 or 4. I mean, wherever you put them, they can interchange in there. But I mean, I would say probably 3 or 4. This as of right now, because again, I don't remember. We'd have to do a whole nother show at this. Yeah. I don't remember the dominance during the regular season that these teams had, other than than what we're seeing now. Because that 99 team you talked about, remember, they were going to fire Coach Pop at the beginning of the year. They started off horrible.
Yeah, it was a bad squad to start.
Yeah, I mean, this squad has not had a bad streak all season, and that's something that I don't remember. So if you're throwing championships aside, Jeff, this team could probably be 1 or 2. I mean, if you're talking just regular season.
Yeah, just regular season.
Regular season. I mean,
this is probably one of the I agree with you on that one. Yes, a regular season Spurs squad. Yeah, disregarding playoffs, because this team is never they haven't been in the playoffs. The drought's over. But just looking at regular season only, top 3.
Never lost more than 2 games in the.
And I don't think any of the championship teams or even the Tim Duncan era can say that.
Yeah, and again, we'd have to do the research, man. I couldn't even.
I'm pretty sure. I think maybe the Duncan eras, they probably the most they lost is maybe 3 or 4 in a row or something like that. Something still small, but not 2. Not 2 as we've seen this squad currently do now. This could change. There's still a handful of games left. They could go on a losing skid. I doubt it, though. Yeah. And you talk about the mindset, too. Maybe it's not as in your face as 2014 was, but I think this team has a little bit of that mindset that, no, we ain't going to go down without a fight. No. I could see them, especially, from this guy, Steph Castle.
Well, something I've talked a lot about, and I mentioned it probably for the past 3 weeks on the Sports Answer, is the one thing that I've noticed about this current roster, this team right now, and I don't know if anybody else notices it because I don't see other podcasters talking about it. I don't see a lot of other people talking about it. This team has been the most calm Spurs team I've ever seen.
They're focused, very focused.
They don't get rattled, man. They go, they blow a big lead, and then you talk to them, you're interviewing them, even to Mitch. It's like, yeah, we blew the lead. We knew what happened. Okay, big deal. We're moving on. Yeah. They're fine with it. Then they come back, and if they lose that second game, it's like, okay, we understand. We got to do this better. They understand what they've done wrong, but they've never been rattled. I've never seen a team with this average age not go unrattled for an entire season, because like people have told me on the streets, I'm waiting for the wheels to fall off, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And I said, no, this team just, for whatever reason, looks focused. And to me, that is a very scary thing for the rest of the league.
It is. It really, really is. But this is such a great topic. If we're going to look at overall seasons, including the playoffs, this team doesn't rank right up there. But if you're looking at regular season only, this current Spurs roster has an argument, a big, strong argument. They could be one of the top 3 most dominant regular season Spurs squads ever. What do you think about this topic? You let Rudy know on X at Box Score Studio. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Subscribe to the Substack, Spurs in Substack, and subscribe to the YouTube page right here at Spurs in Focus. We appreciate the numbers going up higher and higher. Keep them up. Rudy, you want to preview tomorrow's game?
Sure.
So the Nuggets are on deck on Saturday. Early game, thank goodness. Not this 9:00, 9:30 crap that Spurs have been doing lately. Thank you, NBA schedule makers and time zones. Appreciate that, time zones. Nevertheless, it's an early game. Yay. But nevertheless, this is a squad, this Denver team that could probably one of the few teams in the West Conference playoff field that could put a little bit of the scare into the Spurs in a series. Now, numbers aside, we know Joker. Well, as of now, we don't know Joker's playing, but we'll just assume for argument's sake, Joker, Murray, Gordon, and they got quality role players, and they're a big team. This is a massive team. Versus the Spurs team that I don't think these two rosters have seen each other at full power. I don't think they have yet. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if they go into tomorrow's game at full power. First of all, I need to see a test. I need to see Denver bring it, and I need to see the Spurs bring it and let the best team win, because I think Denver could give the Spurs a little bit of a taste of what would it be like if they were to face them in a 7-game series down the road. Crossing fingers that happens, because I would love to see that. Rudy, putting the regular season thoughts aside for tomorrow's game, do you think this Denver team is one of the few teams that could probably kick the Spurs out of the playoff tournament?
Well, I mean, I've never changed my pick from the beginning of the season, and I never do it anyway at all. I've picked Denver to win the title this year. Mm-hmm. What they did in the offseason by adding a bunch of veterans that they needed from last year to help them, got them this season, and a healthy Denver squad is pretty scary. I mean, Nikola Jokic by himself can give any team, Spurs, whoever, fits on his own, averaging a triple-double again for a 7-footer. I mean, we're not seeing anything like this since, the legends of the Will Chamberlain days when he was averaging all these, points, assists, and rebounds. So Jamal Murray can get hot at any moment. Eric Gordon could be a huge factor. Ryan Braun, Christian Braun can get, he can cook really, really fast. Denver's got a lot of great players. And I think if they were able to meet the Spurs in the playoffs, it's almost a toss-up. Because this team, both teams, when they're healthy, are pretty equal, man. I mean, yeah, Denver, people are saying, well, Denver's had a rough season. They're only at 49 wins. They can maybe get to like 52, 53. Spurs are going to hit the 60 mark. But remember, Jokic was out for a good part of the season. I mean,
so was Gordon.
Gordon's been out for a good part of the season. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Had Denver been healthy, you're probably looking at them as possibly a 2 seed. They could be up there with the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But as of right now, I expect them to get the 3rd seed in the in the West, which would put them in the path of San Antonio. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, this is a team definitely to watch in the playoffs.
Right now, as of this recording, they're actually first in offensive rating in the NBA at 122.4. They can score. Defense, that could be the Spurs' biggest edge. The Denver Nuggets are currently 21st in the NBA in defensive rating at 117.6. They don't really put the clamps down, but you want to talk about scoring, they could do that. I mean, other little factors too. They're first, Denver, that is, in true shooting percentage, 61.5%. First in effective field goal percentage shooting, 57.5. Third at keeping it clean on that court. Turnover percentage, 13.1. They can rebound, 9th in the NBA. So this team may not put the clamps on you, but they do a lot of the other things and why they can get some W's. So for the Spurs, though, I definitely need there's a bit of a debate right now between with Spurs fans right now. Do the Spurs need to be humbled? Do they need to be, a little taken back down to earth a little bit before the playoffs start? Kind of like a lesson, one more lesson before the real season begins. Denver could give them that lesson tonight. We'll see. It'll be in Denver, so Denver will have the home court advantage there, at least for this game. But overall, that's what I want to see from this game tomorrow. I want to see the Spurs tested. I want to see how they face a battle challenge, battle hardened, He-Man battle armored up Denver Nuggets team, and against a novice Spurs team that is making their way in the NBA. Aside from the Nuggets, though, do you think the Spurs, we're putting the Nuggets aside, do you think the Spurs team could handle a Denver should they meet in the postseason in a series?
It's tough, man.
It's tough, I know.
I would say my heart and from my eye test says that
Mm-hmm.
yes, the Spurs team can definitely handle Denver.
Mm-hmm.
The playoffs are a whole nother series. Like it's a whole nother world, man. It's going like to the multiverse. You're going into a whole
Mm-hmm.
nother area. And I think, it's weird because you're like, okay, well, they beat Denver here. They beat Denver here. They're not
Mm-hmm.
playing Denver back to back to back to back
Mm-hmm.
games. I mean, they're playing them here and there during the regular season. So that's where coaching comes in. Can Denver make adjustments to guard Wemby better? Can they guard Castle better? Can the Spurs, figure out a way to stop, a Joker Murray combination if they get hot? There's a lot of factors, but if you're asking for can they handle them? Yeah, I think the Spurs can handle them. This would definitely be both teams healthy. This is definitely a 7-game series, I feel.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think so too. By the way, the Denver Nuggets and San Antonio Spurs will meet one more time after Saturday's meeting in San Antonio. So they'll definitely get a little taste of each other's playbooks, physicality, all that good stuff before the real season begins. By the way, these Denver Nuggets have won 3 straight games over the Spurs in Denver.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind for tonight's game. But yeah, should be a good game. This team, at least through 2 games, the Denver Nuggets Spurs are split. They are 1-1, and again for this season, Denver is averaging 121.3 in the 2 meetings points per game, while the Spurs are averaging 119.5. See, they can score.
Yeah.
But here we go. The little things, opponent points per game, the Spurs have had the edge so far in 2 games versus Denver, holding Denver to 111.3, while the Nuggets are allowing 116.6 from the Spurs. So there it is. But should be a good battle tomorrow in Denver. Hopefully a good test for the Spurs as the postseason rolls on. But what do y'all think about tomorrow's game? Is this a game that the Spurs need to win to send a message to Denver? I think so. Or do you think maybe the Spurs could use a little humility from the courtesy of a Denver Nuggets team that they could possibly face in the postseason? Let us know. Rudy's on X at Box Score Studio. I am on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Rudy, you want to get a little nerdy?
Sure.
Nerd! All right, everybody. I know we're pushing the time limit here. We're well over 40 minutes. We'll make this quick, everybody. All right. So every segment here, every show here, we have a segment where me and the guest get nerdy. And to my surprise, at least so far, one guest has revealed that they are kind of a closet nerd. And that was James Espinosa out in the Sunday Sports Rush out in Corpus Christi. So it's always good to embrace more nerds onto the nerd bus. It's very, very friendly here at Spurs in Focus to the nerd culture. So with that in mind, let's go philosophical. So for y'all who don't know, X-Men 97 season 2 is right around the corner. Season 1 of 97, forget it. Just go with that. There was 2 X-Men cartoons. There was the one of the 80s, 90s that was phenomenal. They rebranded it and they brought it back to X-Men 97 recently. So it's a nerd thing. Don't worry about it, everybody. The point is this. X-Men, the series, the comic book movies, they deal with a lot of heavy topics. Mm-hmm. And one topic that is often debated amongst nerds is Jean Grey. Now you're probably asking yourself, who's Jean Grey? Well, she is one of the first X-Men. She's part of the first class. She has telekinesis and she can control objects, read minds, all that good stuff, right? Well, what within her, though, is kind of an alien creature called the Phoenix. And it's dormant in her when she was very, very young. So the philosophical question comes out with this. There were 2 leaders of 2 factions, Professor X with the X-Men and Magneto with pretty much the
Brotherhood of Mutants.
The Brotherhood of Mutants, thank you. And although they meant well, just their actions were not right. They wanted to, the Brotherhood of Mutants basically like what it says, the Brotherhood of Mutants, we embrace mutants and mutant kind only. Mm-hmm. Humans, get out of our way or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
Professor X was, we embrace everybody, mutant, non-mutants, and then the non-mutants will protect you because we want to live in harmony. So that was his. So 2 different philosophies. So when it came with Jean Grey, everybody, I'll make this short and sweet. Again, those philosophies clashed. Brotherhood of Mutants, Magneto saw, along with X, that, oh my God, this young lady, Jean Grey, she has this power within her that can be very, very violent, very destructive, could just annihilate everybody, including mutants, and destroy the world. His philosophy was, you know what? We see it, Professor X, my friend, because they were friends and they kind of still were. But why don't we just cultivate it? Why don't we just teach her? Why don't we just let her figure it out and let the chips fall where they may? She's beautiful as she is, and let's just embrace that. X was like, you know what? That's a bad idea. If she can't control this, if she just cannot deal with it, this is a problem. So Professor X unilaterally decided to cage that part of her brain without her knowledge and just keep it dormant. Just cage it, never let her know about it, never know it exists there. But as she gets older, she starts developing her power series. She's like, whoa, there's something in me here. And then all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So the philosophical question comes down to this: who was right? Who was wrong? Was Professor X right to control it for the greater good to protect, millions of people versus one? Or was Magneto right for saying, you know what, let's just help her develop it and maybe she can learn to control it? Rudy, where do you stand on this philosophical debate that the great nerd comic book X-Men gave us?
The more I've always thought about it, I've always sided with Magneto on that sense, because I agree with Jean. When they knew that Jean had, the Phoenix Force in her, you best want to get it under control early in her life rather than
get under control.
I mean, you almost have to, man. It's like, if you're thinking about it, it's like raising a kid. You want to be able to raise them right and get them, prepared for life, but they may have a bad streak in them. But if you can get to them early and teach them, coach them, help them, understand, this is a part of you, but you have to learn to hone your power. And that's something that Professor X always taught at his school of X was, learn to control your power. A Cyclops, for example, learn to do this, learn to do that. He was always teaching kids, but what made Jean so different? I think Professor X was more afraid of what Jean could do, because she probably ends up, she's more powerful than Professor X when that
more powerful than Magneto. Yeah.
Magneto as well. So I think Magneto's right. Eric Lyncher, we're going to call him by his first name here, his government name. We're going to call him Erica, but Magneto's right. You should have been able to get to Jean early. Just talk to her, control her as far as, coaching her up and letting her know, yeah, you've got to learn to harness it. You've got to learn to just let it be, because it's just a teaching method. Something that Xavier did to every other kid. What would make Jean so different? I side with Magneto on it.
Yeah, I can understand and appreciate where X was coming from. If we were to teach this girl, she can still wild out. She can just be, you know what, screw this.
What does she have a conscience? That's what I guess what it comes down to. If you
or the Phoenix Force could have just overtaken her. She couldn't just mentally fight back.
That's the other part too.
That's where X was coming from, I think.
I think if you were to harness, like if you were to coach her up and teach her, develop her, like where Magneto said when she was young, I think if the Phoenix Force ever did come upon her and overtook her, wouldn't the emotion side of, you know what, I'm doing wrong, hit Jean and say, I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
Rather than have it overtake her and she has no idea. So,
yeah, ultimately, though, fans did side with Eric Lyncher, Magneto. That's what the bulk of fans said. Like, no, that's probably one of the rare L's that Professor S picked up in his path there. Again, but I can appreciate it. You're looking, I can see him. We're like, okay, well, I'm going to basically violate this girl's mind without her knowing, and basically kind of punish her without even committing a crime yet.
Yeah,
just see that she's guilty already, and just cage her up. Well, cage that section of her up.
Yeah.
But because the Phoenix Force is so strong, it's so powerful, it could have overtaken her, then just destroyed the world, and who knows what it was done. And ultimately, he was wrong, because as she got older and it started kind of overtaking her, she couldn't control it. It consumed her to the point where she killed the man that she loved. She killed him, which is Cyclops. He was trying to stop her. He was trying to calm her down, he was like, what are you doing? You know, like, whoa. You know, he killed her. She killed a bunch of her colleagues. And ultimately she had some resentment towards X. Like, you could have, you know, she was like, you could have talked about this. Why'd you have to do that? You know, didn't help that Magneto, though, was egging it on, though. If y'all watch the movies, you know, when X is revealing it to her, like, I had no choice. I had to do this, you know, you know, he even told her, goes, let me try to cage it again. He's just telling her that. And in the background, you hear Magneto going like, you know, I try to tell him, like, I tried, Gene. I tried. And, you know, I thought you were beautiful the way you were. But no, that guy, you know, and then you see Professor like, shut the bleep up, man.
Yeah.
But it's such a great philosophical question, you know, and a lot of people ask me, why are you such a nerd? Well, I love these talks. You know, these comics bring this debate out, you know.
Yeah.
You know, is it right? It's kind of like this. It's just like somebody knows, like, okay, I'm dealing with Jeffrey Dahmer here. He's a kid. He's going to turn into a monster. Do I, you know, do the ultimate now or let him run wild when the serial killer, he gets older, or do I try to help him be better? It's the same kind of concept here. You know, you know, is it, do I pick any type of murderer in the world, you know, notorious, you know, it's the same idea. You know, and for a long time, though, she had it under control. You know, it was all peaceful until she got older, and she's like, there's something going on. I think she was having like flashes, right? Like she would be like, something's not right, you know?
Yeah.
And then the Phoenix Force just overtook her and she went wild. I think she even killed X, right? She killed X, or she
She
killed him. So
yeah, I'm not mistaken. It's a good question. It's a good topic to talk, because I mean, like you mentioned, Deadpool 2 actually brought it up where Cable came back. They went back in time to try to kill the kid, which caused all that chaos in Cable's future. And it's a philosophical thing, like you said. It's kind of the same thing. Deadpool's kind of like, no, we need to let him know. We need to teach him. We need to make him understand. You can't turn this way. And Cable was a gung ho, like, no, I'm gonna kill this.
I'm gonna kill him. Yeah,
I mean, you have to. So it seems like a lot of the comics, you know, kind of go through with that. I mean, I'm a DC fan. I'm a Marvel fan, but I love DC more. Flashpoint, I mean, is the perfect example. Go back in time. Do you stop, you know, your mom getting killed, Barry's mom getting killed, Nora Allen, or you let it happen? I mean, that's the good thing about comics, is a lot of comics can give you that philosophical type of thinking, which is, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love them.
Y'all want to hear or read one of those situations right now. Read the Walking Dead comic book, not the series, comic book. There's one arc in there where the community, you know, Rick Grimes and his crew, they found a prison. They found a prison. They this is great. This is the perfect way to prevent, you know, stay away from the zombies and everything. So they clear out everything. All the zombies are gone. It's cleaned out. It's just us in there. Well, they started finding bodies piling up, finding bodies piling up. And like, we killed all the zombies. We killed all the zombies. Like, did one get loose? And they're looking, can't figure it out. And then one time, one of the characters is just, you know, doing their chores, and it goes into, I think it was like a janitor closet, and they see a dead body. And they're like, what the hell? You know, and she has a flashlight. She turns around, and it was a little girl that was killing people. Why? Because she didn't know. She just assumed. She goes, and she tells them, like, hey, no, it's okay. They come back to life, because she sees that's her world. She sees, oh, look, I kill somebody, they come back to life. That person, they came back to life. So she was experimenting, and they old yellowed her. Yeah.
Walking Dead is a really tough comic to get through.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's pretty graphic.
Yeah, it's really graphic. But, you know, enough of the nerds. We're pushing an hour now. I know you already turned it off already, Rudy. I expect that to happen right now. I doubt that as well. But hey, you know, we're done with this nerd segment. But first of all, we'd love to hear what you think about these philosophical things that comic books bring up. Jean Grey, do we cage her? Do we not cage her? You know, let us know what you think if you're a nerd. He's on X at Box Score Studio. I'm on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. What is going on with the Sports Answer? Tell us, Rudy. We all need to know.
Yeah, Sports Answer, you can catch us on Sundays, and now it's going to be on Friday afternoons live on Answer Now TV on YouTube. You can also catch it on Box Score Studio TV, I Am Refocused Radio, which is on YouTube as well. So definitely, like Jeff said, on the X or Twitter, whatever the kids calling it, at Box Score Studio, you can catch it live on X as well. Not only that, you can catch Spurs in Focus now on all those platforms, especially when it comes to Answer Now TV. So you can catch Spurs in Focus on there. It'll be live. It'll be pre-recorded, but it'll be live on those platforms as well. And the only thing I want to leave you, Jeff, was we forgot a certain Spurs team, 15-16 Spurs squad finished the season with 67 wins.
Oh, I forgot
so,
about yeah.
Of course, that was I believe the Kawhi Leonard, Zaza Pachulia. But again, it didn't end in the title run. But
regular season wise,
that's a top 2 or 3 team right there easily. So
it probably pushes this team down a little further.
I think so. I think it pushes them down one more. But yeah, that's where you can find everything. Answer Now TV on YouTube.
Yeah, that 67 team, man. 67. I mean, the team was. I thought it was penciled in already. They just had the Warriors in their way, and that would have been a hell of a series if that didn't happen. But by the way, thank you Warriors for sitting Zaza Pachulia next to the Spurs bench in the last meeting.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. All right, Rudy, thanks again for helping us here at Spurs in Focus. We appreciate it, and join us here on a lovely Friday. To talk silver and black and nerd it up as we definitely did this year. By the way, we did get a comment from one of our friend Ed Ortiz on X that we loved your all's last chat about Masters of the Universe. So we were doing something right here at these segments. Everybody else, we thank you all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Seriously, don't go anywhere else. Come right here to Spurs in Focus on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Casts, YouTube podcasts, and don't forget to go to the Substack. It is completely free. I don't charge anybody for it. Just subscribe and you're good to go. It's at Spurs in Focus on Substack. We'll likely be back on Monday as the Spurs season is winding down and we're getting closer to the postseason. So for Mr. Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. Now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.